Hey guys, how you guys doing? Happy December. Christmas is around the corner. I hope everyone has had a great year so far, but if you haven't, hey, stay hopeful. God is still faithful and all things work together for good to them that love God and are called according to his purpose, and I believe things will get better in Jesus' name. Amen. So guys, this video is about telling you and just kind of giving some feedback regarding my recent trip to Ottawa. So I had to get my Nigerian passport renewed, and as many of you know, there's only one location, one Nigerian High Commission or embassy. I guess it's the same thing. Is there a difference? I don't know. You guys tell me. In the whole of Canada. Canada is larger than the United States. The United States has four locations, I believe, but Canada only has one location. So it's a big trip. So wherever you are in Canada, whatever province or city, if you want to get your Nigerian passport renewed or you want to get a fresh passport for your children, you would have to make a trip to Ottawa. So I'm just gonna give you guys some feedback on my recent trip to Ottawa, give you some tips and give you some things to be aware of so you will have a wonderful trip with no hiccups. Let's get started. So the first tip is plan ahead, guys. I did the application process in July, but I did not get an appointment date until November. So give yourself about 4 to 6 months. There's always a wait, just because there's just one location in Canada. But with COVID-19 and the added physical distancing and measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19 virus, there's even a longer wait time. So just plan ahead. That way you can make appropriate plans for your trip. Plan ahead. That's the only way to say it. Tip number 2, guys, read the instruction carefully. As you know, to go to Ottawa is a huge, except you live in Ottawa, but for people who don't live in Ottawa, you pretty much have to take a day off work or take your vacation time. You might have to book a flight ticket. So it takes a lot of planning. So just please, guys, go through the website and read every instruction carefully. The website is not necessarily the best, but it has all the instructions you need to complete the application process. And as you go through each step, there are multiple forms you have to print out and bring with you to your appointment. So it's very imperative that you go through each of those bullet points and ensure that you have each of those documents available. If you're applying as a family, you have the option to do that. Just ensure that you indicate you're applying as a family and you follow the steps. Also, if you are applying for a fresh visa for your child or your children who they've never held a Nigerian passport in the past, the application process is similar, but the document required differs. One of the requirements is a birth certificate. On the website, they requested for the original copy of the birth certificate, but if you're like me, when it comes to original documents, guys, I'm very, very careful. So I made a photocopy which I attached to all the documents for my 1-year-old, but I held the original copy aside just because I did not want to mistakenly forget it and hear a story. You know, I don't have energy. So guys, just make sure you have a copy of that. Have your original on hand just in case they request to see it, so you have proof that you are the parent of your child. But just be aware, the requirements are a little bit different, so be aware of these things and plan accordingly. Third tip, you would have to come with a prepaid self-addressed Canada Post envelope. So my advice would be that if it's a family of more than 2, so 3 and above, get the bigger size envelope, the one that's a bit bigger than the 8x11, like the bigger size, versus getting the smaller size. The reason is they would have to send you your original passport as well as the new passport, and so if your envelope is really small, it might be an issue and there might be a delay. So I want to say the small size Canada Post envelope might fit a maximum of 4 passports. But if you have more than 4 passports coming back to you, so this includes your previous passports and your new passports, just get a bigger envelope. You know, you don't want, after all the stress you've been through, you just don't want to hear any story. You want things to just happen smoothly and you want to get your passport back, especially if you have visas in your previous passports and you really need those visas to travel, to make trips to other countries. So just make sure, don't take any risk. The other thing I want to talk about is fingerprint. So well, I'm going to use my husband as a case study, and I'm sure this happens to other people. My husband always has issues getting his fingerprinting done at the Nigerian High Commission. This happened in the past, and while we were traveling, he was a bit, you know, worried that he would have the same experience. In the past, the last time he went there a couple of years ago, 5 years ago precisely, it took forever. He was there all day, and the fingerprinting machine would not pick up his fingerprints until the last minute. He said he started speaking in tongues and praying, and finally it worked. This time around, it did not work. We stayed there for hours and tried. He washed his hand, he put powder, he put lotion, he did everything, he prayed. It did not work. And so he was told that in order to skip that process, he needed a letter from his primary healthcare provider stating that accommodation should be made because the fingerprinting machine is not able to pick up his fingerprint, and he is who he says he is. So my advice is, if you've ever had issues in the past getting your fingerprints taken, like for example me, once I put my finger, it recognized my fingerprints, I had no issues. But certain people tend to have issues, and this issue occurs over and over again. I don't know why, nobody really knows why that happens, but just a tip, you can plan ahead. Get a letter from your primary healthcare provider stating that, requesting for some accommodations to be made, and stating that you are who you say you are, kind of. You could also give them a call and tell them you've had this issue in the past and you want to plan ahead and ask for specific language, if there's a specific language they would require, and have your primary health provider write exactly what they want you to write. The reason I say call ahead is because things change, right? Although this was what was requested of my husband when we went last week, it might not apply to you. Things might have changed by the time you're going for your appointment. So just to be on the safe side, give them a call and ask for the specific language and wording they would require. Get your healthcare provider to write you a letter. Have the letter with you. And so when you go for your appointment, if you're having issues getting your fingerprints captured, just email the letter to them right there, confirm that they've received it, and life is good. Go ahead. The last tip I want to share, and this is for moms and dads with little ones, with young ones. So guys, I was traveling with 1-year-old, so it was a bit stressful, and so I had to think of every possible scenario. So one of the first challenges I encountered was on arriving to the Nigerian High Commission building, there was no elevator. There was nothing, and so my little one was in a stroller. It was raining that day, and I wanted to take the stroller in with me. That way, if he gets tired and wants to take a nap, he can just stay in the stroller. I also wanted the stroller as a way to contain him. I wasn't sure what kind of environment I was walking into, so I just needed to have that stroller to carry things, you know, supplies, also a comfortable place for him to stay. And so there was no elevator, and myself and my husband had to carry him up the stairs. So if you're going with a little one and you're going to be carrying car seats or strollers, please be aware that there is no elevator and you have to carry your little one up the stairs. If you're going alone, hopefully there's a good Samaritan around who can help you, or you can collapse the stroller, carry your little one in one hand, carry the stroller in the other hand, and maybe a backpack with all your baby supplies. Unfortunately, there's no accommodation made for you. Sorry. The other issue I encountered, I guess, was once we got to the, so once we went up the stairs, there's like a double glass doors, so a little bit of a space reception area, not really a reception area, it's just really two doors, and there's a tiny space in between there. And you pretty much have to wait in that tiny space till they ask you to come in and review your documents. But that space was so small, and I was so uncomfortable because it was such a small space and it was so crowded. It was so crowded that every time somebody was trying to leave, I had to pretty much move the stroller. And every time somebody was trying to go in or come out of the building, I had to move because it was such a small space. So guys, I don't know, I feel that if you're being given an appointment time, these things should be thought about. And it was very uncomfortable just because there's COVID-19, right? And everybody's crammed together in that small area in between the double glass doors. And it was cold, and anyway, it was what it is. I just had to make sure I cover my little one completely. He's not wearing a mask. I was wearing a mask, but he wasn't wearing a mask, right? And so I just really did my best. But I found it a bit annoying that nobody has thought about this, and nobody has thought about ways to reduce traffic from that area, especially for people waiting, since it's such a busy central point, I guess. Anyway, I don't know how you guys can overcome that one. Maybe go early or ask to wait inside. Maybe, I'm not really sure, but it's just kind of what it is. And so when we got inside, on the website, we were also told that cell phones are not allowed. But once we got to the actual building, it was posted that you can have your cell phones, but cell phones have to be switched off, just so you guys know. So if you want to take your cell phones with you, I guess you could, but just make sure they're switched off. The other thing is personal belongings are not allowed into the main area. And so your luggages and your personal belongings have to be stored in lockers. I did tell the, I guess, security officer that my backpack was my baby supplies, diapers, food, toys, things like that. He requested to look inside and do like a quick search, which he did, and he was fine. And so for moms, don't worry. If you have things for your baby, you'll be allowed to go in with your baby supplies. That won't be an issue. The other thing is I also had my iPad for my little one just to keep him engaged, and I wasn't sure if the iPad was going to be an issue or if I would be accused of trying to record with it. But honestly, at some point I turned on the iPad to just keep my little one engaged, and nobody gave me any issues. Everybody was fine with it. And so in general, I found that the staff were very friendly. They were somewhat professional. I didn't have any obvious issues with anyone. The one issue I had was that nobody was wearing a mask. I mean, on their website, it says everybody must have a face covering, but whatever is listed on the website is not what's happening in reality. Once you go with nobody, not even one person. There was one person who was wearing like a face shield, but as the day went on, Bruce took off his face shield. So nobody was wearing a mask. It was like Nigeria, honestly. So the rest of Canada were all, wearing face masks, but inside the embassy in Nigeria, none of them was wearing a face mask. And I really found it uncomfortable, especially when I had to go to the fingerprint. The guy, I was like in close proximity with him, and my child also, my little one isn't wearing a mask. So I was very concerned that, and I kept trying to make sure there was ample physical space in between him and my child because he wasn't wearing a face mask. He was nice and friendly, which I'm thankful for, but he wasn't wearing a face mask, so that made me a bit uncomfortable. And then when it was time to have my fingerprinting done, guys, in between each person getting their fingerprints done, the fingerprinting machine is not being wiped. I don't know if it's because I'm a nurse, I'm a healthcare professional, I'm not sure, I don't know. Would you guys have an issue with that? It wasn't being cleaned in between people checking. You would just come to your fingerprinting, get your stuff done, get your picture taken, somebody else would come. Nobody was wiping, nobody was cleaning, nobody was doing anything. It was as if there's no COVID-19, there's no pandemic, and it doesn't matter. I found that very uncomfortable. I don't know, I just did. Now, the other thing is changing your little one. So, as you know, you have to change diapers every 2 to 3 hours. So when it was time for a diaper change, thankfully, my baby did not have a bowel movement and it was just pee. Because if he had a bowel movement, I have no clue what I would have done. The bathroom was not the cleanest place. There's no changing area for little ones or babies. No provision or accommodations were made. And so I had to change my little one right there and there in the waiting room. I told my husband to stand so we can give him a little bit of privacy. And then we just kind of changed his diapers as fast as I could. Because there was nowhere else. There was no place. There was nothing. I had no other option than to change him right there in the waiting room. Thankfully, there was no bowel movement, because if there was a bowel movement, maybe I would have to go back to the car, or I don't know what I would have done actually, guys. And then when I had to use the bathroom was not clean. You could tell that nobody is paying attention to the bathroom, if the bathroom is being cleaned or not. It was just there, it was dirty, and the doors didn't have locks. The locks were not working. Thankfully, there was nobody there in the bathroom when I went to use the bathroom, so it was just me in there, but I couldn't lock the door. There was no locks. So I guess it's just B. You came here for your passport. Why do you need a clean bathroom? Anyway, so overall, if you're traveling with your little one, just be aware of these things, plan ahead, maybe get a really large changing pad. And so if you have to change your little one in the floor, in the corner somewhere, or put 2 chairs together, just kind of think about what you would do if your little one had a bowel movement and you really needed to take your time to clean and change him, and also provide some privacy. I believe in privacy for everyone, from the little ones to the bigger ones. Everybody needs their privacy. So just some things to think about. But overall, I wasn't overly impressed, but I wasn't too disappointed, I guess. So it was just okay. It was all right. I hope that they would start wearing masks just to keep everyone safe and make Nigerians coming in there feel comfortable. I also hope that more attention will be paid to just the overall facility, making sure the place is clean, the bathrooms are clean, and also making accommodations for people who might have strollers, who might be coming in a wheelchair, who might be coming in crutches, and make some accommodations in terms of having some kind of elevator or something to help. Or even the bathrooms, making the bathrooms more accessible. The building was not very accessible, and that's a law in Canada. It's required. Accessibility is required by law, and I just felt like there was no provision whatsoever. Anyway, guys, I hope this has been helpful in some way. But hey, it wasn't too bad, and they were really friendly, so I'm gonna give that to them. So guys, if you're gonna get your passport renewed, I wish you all the best. Make plans ahead, have a safe travel, and I just hope everything goes as planned. Until next time, bye, peace out.